Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Chainsaw. I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
Craig, it's Halloween once again.
Yes.
Our favorite holiday.
Totally.
And it's so exciting that this year it actually falls on a Tuesday. So
nice.
I know that everybody, they're probably been by their computers this morning waiting for this to go up so that they can hurry up and listen to it on Halloween Day. Just to put them in the spirit.
Yeah, I know. The two people who like it when I post these on Facebook, I'm sure that they're just waiting with bated breath.
I guarantee you. Well, to both of you out there, thank you for listening. We have a real special treat for you today. We scour what we know about horror films and the internet and every resource we can find to pick movies that actually are about Halloween or have some Halloween element to them, like the actual holiday. And it's not always that easy to find, is it?
Yeah.
You'd think horror movies would just be filled with Halloween films, but that's really not the case. So sometimes we have to... What I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, drag the bottom of the barrel a little bit and go for a film that, in my opinion, looks like it was shot on video for very little money. This is 2004's Satan's Little Helper. Now, I've seen this movie before. I think Craig has seen this movie before, too.
Yeah.
I watched it. I believe it came up on Netflix. It was available on Netflix for a while. I don't know if it still is. If it is, you have a chance. No. Well, darn it. But anyway.
It's on YouTube, though. You can find it on YouTube.
You can also find
along with many other quality films.
If it's on YouTube, it's got to be good. Yeah, so Satan's Little Helper is truly about Halloween. It takes place on Halloween, and if anything, it ought to go considerable amount of ways towards putting you in that Halloween frame of mind, if nothing else. Yeah, I don't remember being incredibly impressed with this movie when I first saw it, and I can't say that my opinion of it has changed too much since then, but I do marvel at this film. It is worth talking about, it's worth discussing, and I think you're going to find it's going to be a lot of fun talking about it today. I don't know, Craig. I want your take on it because I think maybe your take's a little different than mine.
I don't know.
Is that true?
I would have said so. When we picked this movie, you threw it out there. I had kind of forgotten about it. You and I had talked about it before a long, long time ago, and you were not very impressed. And I was like, well, come on, it's got its charm. Mm-hmm. And then I sat and watched it again yesterday, and I was like, wait.
Here's Craig, a little older, a little more mature, a little wiser.
I'm not really sure the truth of the matter is, when I saw it, and I don't remember when it was, I probably saw it on Netflix too. It's been a long time ago. When I saw it, there was, I don't know, I thought there was something kind of unique and charming about it. And there are some things
certainly unique.
There are some things. Yeah, there are some things that I will give it credit for, but I liked it so much at that time that I watched it again. Like this is the third time that I've seen this movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I'll try to hold that against you.
And watching it this time, I was like, man, oh, this is pretty bad. Okay, now I will give it. All right, here's what I like about this movie. It's set at Halloween. Mm. It's very Halloween-y. Like, think like Hocus Pocus or Trick or Treat, where it's set in one of these towns that I want to live in, where they clearly just like totally embrace and celebrate the Halloween spirit. Like, there are people out all over town, like in these elaborate costumes, and like it's very fun for the Halloween season in that regard. And I appreciate that. The other thing that I appreciate about it explores an idea that really crosses my mind all the time, which is that on Halloween, if you were really a nasty, evil person, you could really get away with a lot of stuff on Halloween, because people are expecting to see gore and violence and kind of mischievous things going on. It's the same way I always tell people in here, they'll dig this up 10 years from now in my trial, but I always tell people, like, if you're going to shoot somebody, do it on the 4th of July, because nobody would bat an eye. There's loud bangs going off all over the place. And that's kind of what this movie explores with Halloween. Like, you've got all of this violent imagery all around you. So if there was something really violent going on, you would probably just overlook it. You would just think it was decorations or a prank or whatever.
Party.
Yeah. And so I appreciate the exploration of that concept. Is it a good movie? Like you said, it feels like a TV movie. It feels like it was shot on a really low budget. And, that's not something that's necessarily crippling for a movie. We've watched lots of low budget movies that we've really enjoyed, but it kind of shows here. And I don't know. I just don't know. I'm interested to see what you think, 'cause I'm reluctant to even give an opinion. I was looking today at Rotten Tomatoes. All of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are positive. They're like, it's a weird little movie and you're going to be really pleasantly surprised. And I
do not get this at all. I honestly, I'm out on a limb here. This is why. And I know I'm going to be the first person to ever say this, but this is why the internet is so unreliable.
Oh, yeah.
Everything I read about this movie is glowing.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, this is so charming and it's so quirky, and anything that's even borders on negative is like, well, it has its negative parts, but it's funny and it's taking itself tongue in cheek and stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God, so much of this movie was so distracting for me that I couldn't even take the funny parts to heart. Like, where to begin?
Okay, let's begin at the beginning. Okay,
a very good place to start.
Yeah. Stop! Don't sing.
Sorry, I may sing again before this is over. Just a fair warning.
So it opens up with this really low budget animation, which we find out is this video game called Satan's Little Helper, that this kid is playing on what looks like an old cell phone that they've like pasted buttons on to make it look like a game console.
Oh my gosh. Now this was 2004, and I think the iPhone had just come out, right?
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know.
This year or the year before. So when you're first watching this movie, you're thinking that they're playing a cell phone game. But then if you put it in time, and then later on the sister's like looking stuff up on, nobody's got a cell phone. And
right.
The sister's looking like flipping open her yellow pages to look up a phone number and pulls out her landline. Then you realize no. And then you go back and you go, wait a second. Whoever they hired out to do the animation to this, I hope they didn't pay too much money to them, because this game looks like it was animated in Windows Paint.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Oh.
And seriously, like I honest to God think that they just took an old phone and cut out some little buttons and because they show close-ups of people playing this game all the time, and they're just moving their thumbs around. Like, they're not actually pushing any buttons or anything. Like, don't do close-ups, you guys.
Do not be proud of this. In fact, don't even show this game at all. We would be better off hearing the bleeps and the boops.
Right. It's really bad animation, and what it is it's Satan's Little Helper, and it's about, this apparently little kid or something that's helping Satan. And what they're doing is they're just going around and killing people and causing mischief, and it's terrible animation. And this kid, our main kid, his name is Dougie. He's played by a young guy named Alexander Brickle, who surprisingly only has 2 credits on IMDb.
No
this movie and another movie from the same year. And I just can't believe that this kid didn't have, I can't believe that his career didn't just blow up after this movie. He's awful. He's one of the most annoying, obnoxious kids you'll ever see on screen. He's a terrible actor. Just awful.
10 points. 50 points. You're getting so good at being helped.
Dougie, shh, I'm on the phone.
Can I play online if all my homework's done?
Yeah, Betty! No, I'm in the car. I'm going to pick up Jenna at the ferry. She came home to spend Halloween with her brother. Is that true love or what?
Jenna's my girlfriend. I'm gonna marry her.
Says he's going to marry her?
Yes.
I don't think they got up to the word incest in the 3rd grade yet.
You said sex.
Sorry, Alexander, if you're listening. I'm sure that you've matured and, has become great thespian or something, but terrible, just awful. Every line is just delivered in the most terrible way. And he's playing the game and he's like, yes, Satan. Oh no, God's getting us. God is the villain in this. And it's just, I don't know if I didn't realize how bizarre this was at the time. He's playing this game and he's saying all this weird stuff about yay, Satan, and oh no, God's getting us. And meanwhile, his mom's on the phone, talking to somebody else, and she's just kind of poo-pooing him, shh, I'm busy. And the mother is played by Amanda Plummer. And Amanda Plummer is a good actress.
Yeah, how did she end up in this movie?
I don't know. How did she end up in this movie? I mean, Amanda Plummer was in Pulp Fiction. She was in a couple of the Hunger Games movies. I always remember her from So I Married an Axe Murderer, which isn't a great movie, but she's hilarious in it. Yeah. She is a good actress. And I think she must have been drunk. From the moment that they pitched her this movie until they wrapped it, she must have been drunk. I don't know what she was thinking. And she's not good at, I mean, there's nothing for her. I mean, no. It's so poorly written. There's no way that she could have elevated it to any kind of better status. But
no, the lines are ridiculous and the situations are completely untenable. There's nothing realistic or natural about this movie at all. And what you say here, and this is, I think, part of what bothers me about this movie too, just the whole premise. Okay, the concept behind the premise is good, but all of this, Satan is the good guy, and better watch out, God's going to get us. It comes off so dumb, childish, weird, that I thought when I was first watching this, that this was one of those Christian movies made by a church that they were trying to subvert, sneak in a Halloween horror movie, some kind of message, all the way up almost to the bitter end. I thought, okay, wow, that this church that put this together is going all out. They're putting gore in here. People are dying. They're going to getting killed. But when is God going to sweep in and save the day and everyone's going to pray? I mean, I was just waiting for this moral message or something to come at the end. That's how flippantly God and Satan and stuff are thrown around in these very bizarre ways during this movie.
It is strange, and I don't know if at Halloween time, people dress their kids up as monsters and vampires and the devil. It's not like you never see that costume, but here you've got this little kid in a Satan costume, and I don't know, if I were this kid's mom or his sister who comes in pretty soon, I would want to have this kid evaluated.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Stop it. This really isn't funny. And there even comes a point in the movie where the sister finally is like,
and where's Alex? Okay. We went to the store and got the candy. Then Satan let me ride in the shopping cart and we ran all these people over. Then he took me to hell where we went trick-or-treating. It was so cool. My master hung this old lady out the window and we poisoned all the candy.
Dougie, where's your master?
The police got him, but he doesn't care. Cause he'll just tape them up and cut their guts out.
Dougie, do you realize what you're saying?
This kid's let's eviscerate people. That'll be awesome. 50 points. Gross. Yeah. There's some questionable parenting going on here. The mom is taking this annoying kid in Satan drag to pick up his sister at the harbor or something. And the sister's name is Jenna. She's played by Catherine Winnick, who has gone on to do some big stuff. She was just in The Dark Tower. She's on a hit show, Vikings, so she's gone on to do some good stuff, but they're going to pick her up and he's like, Jenna's my girlfriend, I'm going to marry her. Now, I understand that that's not uncommon in young people, but this kid seems a little bit too old to still be thinking that he's going to be marrying his sister. And that's kind of some motivation for a lot of what goes on later. And then so they pick the sister up, and the brother says, "We're going to find Satan, and I'm going to show him what a good helper I am." But then he gets all upset because Jenna has brought with her new boyfriend, Alex. And Jenna and Alex are both theater majors. Which is important. Like,
I don't know what it says.
like I'm trying to go down my notes. Like I'm trying to keep. It's so stupid. My next note is, and then Dougie gets bullied by 3 ninjas.
Bullying is kind of a strong term. He's walking down the street in his Satan costume, and 3 guys on bikes dressed up as ninjas right up next to him are like, "What are you supposed to be?" "I'm Satan's little helper." Ha ha ha! And they drive along. I hope Dougie isn't too scarred by that.
Yeah, right. And then then we get to, okay, so he's mad, so because his sister brought the boyfriend, and he was supposed to just go trick-or-treating with his sister, but now the boyfriend's there, so he goes off and he's going to find Satan, which he does immediately. He finds this guy dressed up not in a traditional devil's costume, but he's in like kind of a black, like a kind of oversized black suit with this really great mask. It's this really great, kind of gray black mask with horns.
A big smile.
Right, a big and red eyes. And he sees this guy pulling a body out of a house and propping it up on a couch on the porch like a Halloween decoration. The kid is just so dumb. Like, he just stands there with this dumb look on his face, and he's like, "Oh, that looks so real. Oh, it's so cool."
Just talks to himself.
You wonder why they haven't put him up for adoption already. Like, just get out.
Well, while he's setting up the dummies and Alex and Dougie is following this guy around, Alex and Jenna have arrived at the home, and they meet up with the mom. And again, the mom is played by Amanda Plummer. The father hasn't come home yet. He's going to be coming home later because mom is going to be going out to a party with him, a Halloween party. The sister and Alex don't have costumes, and so mom says, "Oh, I have this Renaissance wench costume that you can put on," and takes her upstairs to dress her in it. Now, this is an important point. The sister, during the costuming process, seems extremely embarrassed at this wench outfit.
"Oh my God, they're like melons."
Yep, you are a little musty wench.
"I can't let Alex see me like this. We just met. Started dating. Actually, it's our first official date, and I can't believe my own mother's trying to turn me into a whore."
You ask yourself, seriously, the mom wore this last year? Like, I'm not buying that for a second.
I'm not buying that either.
And then she looks at herself in the mirror like she's never seen herself before. Like, like she starts talking to herself in the mirror.
"Isn't that a bit too much makeup, my lady?"
Nah. The more the better. Not that the blokes be looking at me face when they got these tender morsels in their hands.
Dude. Silly.
So anyway, they go downstairs, and Alex has the bright idea that he is going to endear himself to her younger brother by dressing up as his hero, Satan. So that they can go trick-or-treating together, and because Dougie just wanted to go with Jenna himself. So in the meantime, Dougie is out with Satan, and Satan sets up another body in the yard. And this is, I think, supposed to be funny. He drags this body with a knife in it out into the yard and sets flowers on it and sets up a tombstone and everything to make what looks like a Halloween decoration. By the way, this is all still complete daytime. Dougie watches him, and then as Satan comes out, he follows him and stops him.
Are you Satan? Wait! I'm Douglas Woolley. Can I be your helper? Can you talk? Then why don't you? 'Cause you don't need to? How many points for killing that old guy? I forgot. 20? That's all? So, Master, next, could we send my sister's new boyfriend Alex down to help? They go to college together, and they're at my house. And I only want to go trick-or-treating with my sister. And you don't have to worry, 'cause my dad's away at work.
Dougie's like, "What's wrong? Are you afraid God might see us?"
I don't know. It's borderline sacrilegious, frankly. Like it's really bizarre. Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to do here with all this Satan and gods. I don't know. It's really flippant. I don't know. I'm not a super religious person, but frankly, it's a little distasteful.
Yeah, it's just distasteful and dumb. It's both.
And dumb.
We have to explain at least that this Satan is not going to talk. He's got this mask on, he has these gloves on, so you can't see any part of him underneath his costume. But Dougie conveniently gives him all the reasons why he can't talk. Oh, you're not going to talk because you don't have to? And the costumed head just nods. Oh, okay. And that's how the whole movie is. Anytime something illogical seems like, Dougie can pop in and say, in his childish voice, "Oh, is that why you're doing this?" And the costumed head just nods silently.
And that is, at the same time, something that I like about the movie. I like that we never really know who this guy is, ever, from beginning to end. But it's also something that I hate about it because Dougie will just fabricate entire conversations. Like, oh, so we have to go here? Oh, because God might be there? Oh, because like he just has like, this whole train of thought. Like, oh, so that's what you're saying? And Satan just nods.
You know, a good twist to this movie would have been if Dougie had been imagining this guy the whole time.
That would have been a good twist, right? If he had been doing it. Sure, yeah.
I think no. There are 10 different ways we could improve this movie, and we might get through all of them tonight.
Something that I didn't remember from the 2 other times that I've watched it is that they kind of throw in this red herring. The sister, Jenna, and Alex, the boyfriend, see on TV that this guy, Billy Flaren, has been released from jail, and he is an arsonist and he has caused all kinds of problems, but he's the mayor's kid, and so somehow he's gotten out of jail, and the mayor has vowed that he will keep a closer eye on him or whatever.
The mayor has assured the public that he won't be any more trouble because he's born again.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go.
That's literally what it says. I will prove it to you.
Mayor Flaren assures us that this time around he's going to keep a close eye on his son, adding that Billy has been born again and poses no threat to the community.
I don't. This is why at this point I'm thinking like this theme is so heavy and thick that this has got to be one of these subversive Christian movies. It's just got to be.
Yeah. Were we supposed to think that this guy in the mask is this Billy Flaren? Because they look for him later and they don't find him.
That's a really good question. I think maybe, now that you mention it, because we get this one mention of him, which is why it's so easy to forget. The mother flips off the TV and it's just Alex and Jenna in there, and she says, "I bet you didn't have any arsonists at your school. You guys want some cider? I'm going to go get some special cider mugs."
I'm telling you, Amanda Plummer was drunk. I mean, there's just no other way. There's no other way. Like, because honest to God, I'm repeating myself, but seriously, Amanda Plummer is a good actress. She's weird. She's a weird looking lady and she's got a weird affect, but the movies that she's in, she's really good in. Yeah. And in this, it really just seems like she's drunk and she's just trying to sludge through these terrible lines. I'm a little embarrassed for her, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
Amanda Plummer, I'm sure you're listening, and I really respect you as an actress, so please don't be mad at me. But
we'll look for her comments on the webpage. Yeah.
So now Dougie and Satan are partners, and Dougie brings him to his house and takes him into the basement, and he's like, "This is my secret place where I can do whatever I want and nobody can ever hear me," which is totally not true because they shout back and forth from the basement later on.
He says it could be Satan's secret door to hell. Yeah,
it's his secret door to hell. And then Dougie is trying to set up Alex to get killed. He's like, "You can kill my sister's boyfriend and then my sister can just take me trick-or-treating." And Satan's like, nods. And so first, Dougie's trying to get Alex down into the basement, but when he won't go down into the basement, Alex says, "Let me take you to the costume store and I'll get a Satan costume." And Dougie gets a look on his face like, light bulb, like, "Oh, okay." And so then he runs down and tells Satan, "New plan, follow us to the costume store and you can take him out there."
Satan nods and then goes back to smelling the panties. It's little moments like this assure us that this isn't actually Satan, right? But in the same sense, trying to be funny, but maybe trying a little too hard in an already bizarre movie to be funny. It's, when everybody's crazy, nobody's crazy, right? In this movie, when everything is bizarre, off the wall, weird, even these things that are put in there that are, I think, trying to be funny, it's just, oh, okay. That's how inept the writing is. It's funny when it's not trying to be funny. When it's trying to be funny, it's just confusing.
Yeah. And as we're sitting here talking about it, I feel like I could summarize this movie in 3 minutes. But now when I'm sitting here trying to talk about the plot points, it's plot heavy. Like there's all this unnecessary plot baloney that's going on. Like we find out that Alex has a terrible relationship with his father. Like who cares? Nobody cares. And it's just stupid. Like when they go to, he's like, I'll be Satan so you can be my little helper. And then they go to the costume store and he's picking out all these masks that don't look anything like Satan. And Dougie's like, that's not Satan. And he's like, oh, well, I'm trying to find one that looks just like my dad. Like, wait, what? I thought that you were going to be Satan. Like,
he says it'll give him inspiration. Like he's that kind of actor, huh? He must be a method actor.
Yeah. Well, according to Jenna, he's an amazing actor, and
you'd think an amazing actor wouldn't have to pull out the mask that looks like his dad in order to play Satan.
Well, I mean, it's a funny gag. I mean, he finds this old grumpy man mask and he puts it on and he grabs like either a costume toupee or a costume wig because his dad is like the toupee king or something. God,
he doesn't want to take over the family business, which is of the toupee business, which is why he's
they're estranged, right? Yeah. Okay, so now he's got this old man mask on, and they go outside, and Dougie just takes him right up to Satan. He's like, "Here he is, get him!" in
the middle of the street. It's still daytime.
In the middle of the day. There's people all over the place, and so Satan just like points like towards the alley or whatever, and Alex is like, I don't get it, what's going on? And like Dougie leads him over there, and he's like, aha, Satan's gonna get you.
and he literally is saying, I don't get it, what's going on? And he's like, and when Alex runs off, he just turns around and stares after him and goes,
I don't get it. How's he gonna get me if I'm Satan? I don't get it.
And then Satan gets him. Okay, so and then again, terrible writing. Anybody else in the whole movie, Satan just kills them immediately. But instead, he decides he's just going to beat Alex up, I guess. And so he beats Alex up in the alley and knocks him out, and then props him up on some derelict resident. I don't know. It's so dumb.
Some boarded up house. And then he turns around, picks up a black cat, bashes it against the wall of the house, and uses its bloodied head to write boo on the porch. At which point a woman and a couple trick-or-treaters are walking by and say, oh, this is so cute. Can I take your picture?
Yeah.
And he poses with the body. And of course, with this big cheesy grin on his face, everything that he does kind of has a certain affect to it. And again, this is, I think, supposed to be the comedy of the movie, but it just comes across really stupid.
As does everything else.
Yeah.
So Dougie goes home. And Jenna's like, where's Alex? And he's like, I can't tell on my master. And she's like, oh, okay, I get it. He's your master now. And so then Satan comes to their house. And it's this whole bizarre scene where it's this actually, I have to give it credit. This was actually kind of spooky because the sister and the mom both think that Satan is Alex. And the sister, because she knows that Alex is such an amazing actor, she thinks that he's just staying in character by not talking and by creeping them out. And Satan is like groping her boobs, and like it's really cringy and weird, but And the mom is kind of like seeing all this. Like, I don't think the mom is actually present when he like actually physically gropes her boobs.
Dougie is, and he looks on and says,
now he's looking at your boobies. This is so fun.
That kid.
But now Jenna, who previously was so embarrassed to even be in this costume because she barely knows this guy, this is their first date, is suddenly turned into Jenna the slut. And she is absolutely happy with him groping her boobs. And later on, they go upstairs and she makes out with this rubber mask.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what this rubber mask is doing to her, but as it lowers down deeper, she says, "Oh, take it off." And he's like, just shakes his head no. She's like, "All right, I guess if you're into that."
Well, and even at one point, he like puts her in a headlock. It's almost kind of like she thinks that's weird, but then she gets over it. Like, oh, I guess you're just really method or whatever. Like, oh, man. I do like the premise. I like the premise that they think it's somebody else and it's not. And so, like, there is tension, for the viewer. There, what's going to happen? They don't know what's going on. They're in peril and they don't know it, blah, 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 whatever. But ultimately, it's just dumb. I mean, it's just kind of the assessment for the whole movie. Ultimately, it's just dumb.
The kid comes in and interrupts them making out and says, "Jenna, is he getting you?" And that's why it stops.
Mm.
Then they go back downstairs, and the mother joins up with them. She's in a skirt or whatever, which, I don't know, it's just an ordinary skirt. And she's got a camera, and she's like, "Oh, let me take all your pictures." Satan turns around, grabs the camera, and I guess takes a picture of her skirt.
It was, but it really upsets Jenna. Like, no, that's too far. Like, it's not like he stuck the camera up her skirt. It was like he was taking a picture of her feet. Like, it wasn't even a short skirt. Like, it was like an ankle, almost ankle. Oh God,
yeah.
I don't know. It's so stupid. Then Jenna and the mom have a conversation about how they don't have enough candy, and the mom has to make a quiche. Like, just the most random stuff.
It's just the 80s. Who asks for a quiche for a Halloween party?
Oh shoot, I'm going to the party, I forgot to make the quiche. And Jenna's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of the candy. Make your quiche."
That's right. Hopefully somebody else is bringing the aspic and another person is bringing the frankenbeans. I hope they're making Bloody Marys too. This is going to be a real swinging Halloween party.
Oh yeah, they'll have some shrimp cocktail and then their quiche. Okay, all right. So Jenna sends Satan and Dougie to go to the grocery store to buy candy. And so they go to the grocery store, and Satan buys all kinds of torture equipment at the grocery store. I don't even know. He buys like a steak. It's like barbecue like stuff. Like he buys like a steak knife and like instead of like I don't know, like a meat prong or something. And he buys a dough cutter. Like, isn't that what that was?
Yes, it's like one of those dough cutters that'll like cut dough, but also like cut it in a crimpy way.
Yeah, like a pastry chef would have. And it's so it's so funny because like he holds it up and like the camera like closes up on it like, "This is the most sinister weapon you've ever seen."
And again, you're thinking, okay, is this supposed to be funny? Do they know how bad this is? Or
I think maybe it was supposed to be funny, but it just kind of doesn't read that way. No. Like, again, in a scene that makes absolutely no sense, they go through the checkout lane and get all of their stuff bagged. They also get some candy too. And they get all their stuff bagged. And then Satan just walks away with the cart. And Dougie's like, "Wait, but we didn't pay." And the cashier and the bagger just stand there and look at them.
Mouths open.
Mouths open as they walk out. Like, they don't say anything. They don't do anything. I'm thinking that's so stupid. But they wheel the cart out around the back of the store, and then the bagger comes around. He's like, "Quit playing around, man." So Satan kind of,
behind
I don't know,
his back opens up a package that had a knife in it.
Right. And he kind of does it in such a way that Dougie can't really see the violence, but he stabs the guy one time in the gut and then throws him into the dumpster and closes the lid. And Dougie's like,
"Wait till he smells all the garbage. See what you get for disobeying Satan? 20 points.
No, okay. A couple of things. First of all, this is the stupidest kid on the face of the earth. The stupidest kid on the face of the earth. And secondly, I've never stabbed anybody, nor have I ever been stabbed. But I would imagine that getting stabbed one time with a steak knife in your abdomen is probably not going to render you immediately dead.
Yeah.
But I guess it does. I don't know.
It's Halloween, man. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all good. And then they go, oh, you say it. I want to hear you say it.
Oh, my goodness. So then he sits in the cart, and they go... They go on like a little mini video game moment here where Satan starts running with the cart in the parking lot. And Dougie from the front goes, "Oh, there's a pregnant lady." There's a pregnant lady walking towards a car. So they hit her. And Dougie like laughs and goes, "Yeah, that's like 10 points. Oh, look, there's a baby carriage." And here, just in cue, there's a woman pushing a baby carriage. So they smash into that and roll it over. Oh, that's 20
And you hear the baby cry.
And Dougie's thrilled by this. And then, oh, there's a blind man. And there's no kidding. A guy with dark glasses on and a stick in front of him.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then they just wheel away. And suddenly it's night again, and they're somewhere else and giving each other high fives. And Dougie thinks that was just the coolest thing he's ever experienced.
Oh God, that scene, it just kills me. My dad, whenever I'm in the car with him, like if we're on trips or whatever, he makes jokes like that, like because I haven't seen it, but there's that movie like Death Race 2000 or whatever, like where people get points for like taking out pedestrians, and you get more points if it's somebody who's old or pregnant or whatever. Yeah. And my dad sees people along the side of the road, and he's like, "How many points for that guy?" And you have to know my dad. He's such a goofball. Oh, but it cracks me up. And this scene just reminded me of that so much, but it's just so dumb. Like, not only is he stupid, but he's warped. Like,
yeah,
he needs serious psychological help. But it's his parents' fault. His dad bought him that stupid game, and his mom encourages.
His mom plays it.
Yeah.
So, it's nighttime now, and they're trick-or-treating. And so he says, "Oh, are we trick-or-treating now?" And Satan nods. And then Satan gets out and takes one of the bags out of the carts and starts walking towards a house. And Dougie starts following him. And Satan stops and turns around and looks at him and shakes his head. And Dougie, ever the helpful person who can read Satan's mind, says, "Oh, I should stand guard in case God comes?" And Satan nods. Yep, of course, that's what you need to do. And he goes to the door where there's an old woman who's taking her time getting to the door, and Satan's like looking at his watch and being all goofy. This woman's in a walker, slowly inching her way towards the door. And when she finally gets there, he like kicks her across the room. I have to say, I actually thought that was kind of funny.
It was kind of funny.
And then the next scene is Dougie standing guard against God. And who should show up but the biker gang.
Ninjas.
3 ninjas. We're like, "What are you doing, huh? Oh, did you find Satan? Are you Satan's little helper? You guys trick-or-treating now?" And Dougie turns around and is like, "Oh, that's so cool," looking at the house. And when we see the house, this old woman is hanging from the porch, struggling against her noose.
Oh, that looks so real!
And the kids are not Dougie, so they're suitably freaked out, and they ride on and leave down the road. Satan comes back in, but not after getting a whole bunch of pills out of the woman's medicine chest.
And they continue on. Satan eventually kills Alex's dad because, of course he would. Why wouldn't he? This scene didn't make any sense to me. And I have to confess, I watched the TV edit of this. So I think that there were some things cut out. So you may have to fill me in a little bit here. Like, we see Alex woke up, by the way. Forgot to mention that. He's now conscious and aware. And he wakes up and he goes to his dad's house and he knocks on the door. But his dad doesn't answer. And he turns around and he sees Satan and Dougie right behind him. So he runs off. And then Satan comes up to the door and knocks. And then Satan kills Alex's dad and his girlfriend. Did Alex not see this? Like,
Yeah, Alex went off. He knocked on the door. When nobody answered, he left.
Okay, well, that seems really stupid because he knows that this is the guy that beat the crap out of him. Why would he not even stick around to see what was going on?
Exactly. Then Alex's dad comes down the stairs, and it's a really important plot point that Alex's dad basically immediately starts berating him, tells him he's wearing this stupid costume, and raises his arm as if to hit him across the face, but stops. Satan kills him, like you said.
So now we're back at the family home. Satan shows back up there, and the sister, Jenna, realizes that it's not him because Alex has this whole thing where he has to take his shoes off before he comes in the house. Like, that's just a rule at his dad's house, and it's been ingrained in his mind.
That's why the shoe thing.
Right. So she sees that Satan is still wearing his shoes, and that's why she knows it couldn't possibly be Alex, because Alex wouldn't be wearing his shoes in the house.
Except when Satan first came to the house and they had their whole feeling up moment and the sex with the mask and everything, he never took off his shoes.
Nope. She was too excited about her newfound sexiness.
That's right. So her reaction to seeing that his shoes are still on is one of just sitting there and staring with her mouth open.
Yeah.
For a very long time while things happen around her.
Oh God. Yeah, it's like she realizes that it's not him, but then Dougie comes in. It's like, come on, Satan, let's go upstairs. And so they go upstairs and she just continues to sit there until the mom comes in, and then she's like, that's not Alex. And the mom's like, this isn't funny. Quit playing this game.
Then she creeps slowly towards the staircase. I mean, none of this is at this point I looked at the clock and I was like, we still have 30 minutes of this. Dad comes home, and Dad looks way too young to be either of their dads. Sis is still standing at the stairway, staring up at it, agape. She tries to kind of explain what's going on to the dad, and he's not listening. He's got Alex up, and he's like playing with them. And
Satan's not even up there. He's down in the basement so we can get back to hell, in case you were God ring the doorbell.
Yeah, well, he's in big trouble now, boy, because I just happen to be one of the avenging angels.
Will you guys stop horsing around, because we gotta go.
Put me down, or I'll tell Satan to cut your guts out.
Oh, yeah? Well, go ahead, because I got God watching my back.
Satan, quick! Come and spill his guts out!
And so Satan does. He comes out. It just totally like rips this guy's abdomen open and kills him.
It's great because, again, they're all just standing there with their mouths open while this is happening in front of them for like 3 minutes. It cuts him from stomach to sternum. And pulls out what it's supposed to look like his intestines. This is a very low-budget film. And then ties his intestines around a chair. While they all stand there
and watch, right?
And then after this, nobody ever seems to care that the dad is dead.
Not really. And so I feel like the kid, Dougie, runs off, and the mom and the sister are like standing there confronting Satan, and like the mom places herself between the two, and she tells Jenna to run, and Jenna runs, and then the mom just stands there like defiantly, like, you don't scare me, while Satan puts the dough cutter up to her throat. Yes. And Jenna tries to call 911, but we've already heard somebody on the street told Alex that the police station was on fire and all of the cops were dead except for 2. And we totally skipped over this part where the cops found Satan and Dougie, and Satan sent Dougie away. And so we can infer that Satan has actually killed the last 2 cops. So there are no cops. And that really leads up in the whole town. And that leads up to Act 3, where things are just chaos. You know, there are people in masks running around, looting, vandalizing. And Satan has not killed the mom, but rather wrapped her up in clear tape, except for her nose, and taken her to this big Halloween party. And it's kind of funny and kind of tense, and like you could kind of see how maybe this could happen, but really it just seems really kind of dumb. Like they arrive at the party and Satan, non-verbally, because he never speaks, threatens her and shows her that if she says anything that he's going to put the tape over her nose too, and then she'll suffocate. And so like the valet opens the car door that they're in, and the mom totally falls out like flat on her back, and he's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. But Satan comes around and is like, again, all non-verbally, but like, ha ha ha, no, it's okay, we were just pulling a prank. And then he takes the mom in, and everybody's like, what a clever costume. And he rams her. I almost feel like accidentally, but he like rams her into the stair post, and she falls over backwards, and everybody just thinks it's a gag, and they're all laughing and pointing. And
this woman is like wrapped in saran wrap or tape or something up to her mouth.
Yeah. And she looks terrified.
She does. And she's got like a Chiquita banana headdress thing on, like with all the fruit on it and stuff. The costume itself makes no sense as a costume.
No.
She doesn't even look like she can breathe in this thing.
Right.
And everybody's just laughing it off like, aha, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And the host says, where's the quiche? Okay, all right. So Jenna and Alex they decide that they need to go find Satan, but they can't just go find him right away because he knows what they look like. They get a gun. Apparently Satan has left the 2 dead cops in their cop car outside the front of their house. So they try to get in the cop car, but the cops are dead. There's no keys in this.
Alex mentions to her, that shows her that he's got the gun, and he's like,
It could be the guy from the news report.
Billy Flaren?
I ran into a guy who told me that the police station burned to the ground. Isn't that what Billy was known for?
So much for being born again.
Yeah, so they're now on a dual mission to find Billy, which he's an arsonist, and his last name is Flaren. That's hilarious. But they have to go get costumes so they won't be recognized. And so they go to the costume store, which the whole, square has been looted, and there's crazy people running around. And she gets a full body, like, canary suit. he gets like a full body ogre suit. They come out in these costumes, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, they had to be trying to be funny. And it is, but like in the way that I'm laughing at you, not laughing with you. Like,
yeah,
you guys, this is just not that good. And so then they go to the party, and Satan has spiked the punch with Drano because apparently he's seen Heathers, and some people have died from that. And again, nobody pays any attention. They just think it's a joke, and they get there. And it's just, what's so funny to me is the filmmakers made these choices. Like, we have to get these protagonists in these ridiculous costumes, but for no reason.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they get there, Satan sees them, and he sees that Jenna is still, he can see her feet, and he can see that she's still wearing her Renaissance wench shoes. And so he knows it's them. Like, their costumes were totally ineffective. And so he puts tape over the mom's nose, and she gets bounced around like a pinball around this party before Jenna finally gets to her and gets the tape off. And
nobody at this party is helpful in the slightest.
No.
Jenna's on the floor with her mom screaming for help, and everybody's gathered around just with their mouths agape. And so this is, I guess, kept Jenna occupied for a while, is dealing with her mom. So Satan has left the party. We're supposed to get the idea that there's mass chaos and looting going around outside, and another guy in a costume runs down the street, turns and looks at him like, oh, here's another guy in a mask.
What's up, my nigga?
Racial slurs, hilarious. It's bad.
Yeah.
And then this whole sequence is so stupid. Alex finds him, and he has the gun trained on him, and he's like, show me who you are, I'm gonna shoot you. And then Satan raises his hand the same way that Alex's dad. How does Satan know that was Alex's dad? It doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, unless we're supposed to believe that this is somebody they know. I mean, we never find out, so we don't know. He raises his hand and Alex flinches. And so Alex thinks that it's his dad in the Satan costume. And he's like, Dad? And Satan nods like, And then Satan takes the gun from him, points it at his own hand, and shoots a hole through his own hand, which seems like it makes absolutely no sense. But as it turned out, Satan had a very specific plan moving forward.
He hands Alex the gun back and then runs off while Alex just stands there, mouth agape. Then Jenna comes and picks up Alex, and Alex has a great explanation of how the scene went down.
He could have killed me when he had the chance. Instead, he took the gun and he shot his own hand and then handed it back to me. Just to humiliate me, to show me he can keep on doing it forever.
Oh, God. I can't even laugh. It's too stupid to even laugh. It doesn't even make any sense.
But anyway, so they drive around and they go to, I guess they decide to go to Alex's house because...
Yeah, because Satan would probably go home now. I mean, why wouldn't he?
And there they find the Satans backed up against it, just standing at a tree waiting for this to happen, waiting for them to get the idea to drive to the house. And they stop in front of it, and Alex has the gun, she has the gun, and they both exit the car, and she holds, the gun up to Satan, but won't pull the trigger. And so Alex yanks the gun away from him and shoots Satan like 6 times in the chest, who falls over, and then they tear off the mask, and of course it's Alex's dad.
Again, this makes absolutely no sense. Like, as far as the plan goes, I get it. Like, so Satan then went to Alex's dad's house and put dead Alex's dad in the costume. But what? Like, did he just balance this corpse up against the tree? Like it would make more sense to me if the corpse were like tied to the tree or something. But no, it's just standing there, and then when they shoot it, it falls over. Again, I've not worked with a lot of corpses, but from my understanding, you can't just stand them up. Oh God, so dumb. Okay, well, anyway, so Alex thinks his dad was the killer, and well, they both do. Jenna goes off; she's going to go get her brother, and she's going to try to find her mom. Meanwhile, Dougie is at home, and he prays to God to make Satan go away, and then the doorbell's ringing, and he's like, maybe God is a trick-or-treater. So he goes downstairs and he opens the door. Yeah. And he opens Jesus. It's Jesus. It's Jesus. And he's like, are you Jesus? And he nods. He's like, can you talk? And he's like, no. And he's like, oh, it's just like Satan. You can't talk because you don't have to. And he nods like, and so he brings Jesus inside.
Dougie, you were so thick. And he shows Dougie his hand with the hole.
Yes. Important.
Prove that he's Jesus, I guess?
Yeah, because it's his stigmata.
Yeah.
Don't you know anything?
I know this, but
this movie is too smart for you.
I know this, but I don't understand why that was necessary. Like, a Satan mask was good enough for Dougie to believe that was Satan. Why would a Jesus mask not be good enough for this?
I don't know. And I also don't know why Satan then allows Dougie to run outside where he finds Jenna, and he tells her, he's like, it's okay, Jesus is here. Look, it's his blood. And she's like, wait a minute, was he bleeding from his hands? And he's like, yeah. She figures it all out.
She's a serious Encyclopedia Brown, this woman. Seriously.
Absolutely. And it's got to be my favorite line in the whole movie is she figures it all out, and then like she looks up with this look of like revelation on her face, and she goes,
and Jesus is Satan.
And this is the point at which I realized that this was not a subversive Christian film. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. And honest to God, I think that the first time I saw this movie, I kind of gave them props. Like, wow, have the killer put on a Jesus suit. Like, I mean, that's some pretty powerful iconography right there.
It's nothing if not unique. We have definitely never seen this in before or
I've
since.
never. I've never seen the Jesus Killer before, but so the mom comes home like, I guess somebody just dropped her off. Like, she's just been through this traumatic experience. Her husband is still dead, murdered in her home, but whatever.
Nobody really cares about this at this point anymore. When Dougie shows his bloodied hand to his sister, see, I touched Jesus. She says, "Are you lying to me? Did you touch Daddy, or did you actually?"
No, I swear. So then we see Alex, who is still kneeling by his dead father, and Jesus comes and kneels down next to him. And this is really kind of funny. And Alex looks over and it's Jesus. And Jesus quick looks over at him and then grabs him and drags him off. The family, Jenna and Dougie and the mom, hear a window breakdown. And Jenna and the mom go downstairs where they find Jesus and kill him. Jenna is hitting him with a golf club or something, and the mom stabs him to death. Dougie, meanwhile, is outside trying to flag down a police helicopter.
Right. Which is clearly somebody up on a roof or something with a flashlight.
Shining it directly on him, right? And Jenna and the mother realize that they've not killed Satan, but rather that they have killed Alex, who has been dressed up in the Jesus drag. And so Dougie's outside, and he finds a cop, and he takes his hand and brings him up to the house. And he's like, "Don't worry, guys, I found a policeman." And they open the door. They're like, "Oh, thank God." And they go back in the house. And their address is 66 something. But before this policeman goes in the house, he pulls out some spray paint from somewhere and puts an extra 6 there. So it's 666. And then he walks inside. He's wearing a mask. I don't understand. Did they not realize that he was wearing a mask? It didn't look like that realistic of a mask. Were they so traumatized that they just didn't see this? Oh. And they walk in, and it cuts to black. And before the credits roll, we just hear Jenna say,
"Mom, why doesn't he say something?"
"He's afraid Satan will hear him."
And then the music starts and the credits roll. And that's it. Thank God. My God. I can't believe that we just talked about that movie for that long.
Oh, my God.
It didn't even deserve it.
That's the second time you said that in as many weeks, I think. The end. Thank God. But it was was it even entertaining? I don't know if it was entertaining. I honestly can't say. Maybe the kind of movie that if you're watching with some friends and you want to laugh at something and not with something, this is the movie for you. It does take place at Halloween. It could put you in the Halloween spirit for sure, because there's lots of people having Halloween parties and running around with masks on. Definitely it's all about Halloween and Satan. And God. You can get Halloween in, you can get your church in with this movie.
Yeah, you could skip church, No, look, I'll give it this. It's an oddity. It's weird.
For sure.
It's a weird little movie. And, you need that every once in a while. Just something that it's unexpected. It's strange. It's bizarre. It's certainly stupid. But I don't know.
Does anybody else notice how Craig almost feels obligated after every dumb movie that we watch to give it some kind of props? Even though we've trashed the whole thing for the last hour, it might be worth watching.
I know I do. I know I do it every time, but it's because I mean it. I watched this movie. I've watched it 3 times, for God's sake. There's got to be something, I don't know. I would not recommend it to your casual viewer, but for dorks like us who like all types of horror, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. And look, we just spent an hour and 5 minutes talking about it. Obviously.
It is, what we've proved is it is a film. It does last for about an hour and a half. Things do happen in it that one can recount.
It's true. I guess I have to get over my kind of apologist thing. I mean, maybe that's the thing. Maybe I just, keep listening to our podcast. Sure, we talk about crap movies all the time, but you love it.
It's impossible to find information about this movie online. There's
I know.
practically nothing. Even the IMDb page is there's no trivia.
Nope.
Right, which is like our bread and butter. Like, we don't know what to do with that movie trivia. And the director, Jeff Lieberman, apparently must have, I think it's a very small cult following of some kind, because he's mentioned in a number of reviews and things. He has the kind of bio that you get the feeling is written by him or someone close to him. But there is a film that he did way back in 1970, I think 74, 76, called Squirm, that I do want to see sometime. This is kind of an equally unlikely premise about killer worms burrowing into people. And this movie was on the shelves of video stores for quite a while and has some really interesting stills on the back of people with worms coming out of their faces that I'm very interested in this. I doubt it's much better than this, but it's very interesting that this guy's most of his oeuvre took place, and there's not much of it, 6 movies or so took place in the mid to late 70s. A little bit in the early 80s. He wrote the screenplay for Never-Ending Story 3, but then he did nothing until 2004 when he did this. And I did the math, and I think he was 67. So it's a pretty big gap to jump from doing pretty much nothing to this weird oddity of a movie that it's hard to believe that he was able to convince the likes of Amanda Plummer or anybody from that nature to get on board with. Even reading the script. Sometimes I even apologize for these films and I go, I can see where this read better on the page than it did in real life. There's no way that this read better on the page because the dialogue is so inane.
Well, and maybe part of the reason that I try to be diplomatic about these things is because, who am I? I don't know anything. I'm in no place to criticize anything. And when you look at the reviews online, they are largely positive. I really, really don't understand why, but they are. And what you read is, it's different, it's weird, but it's quirky and it's unique and it's fun and it's a pleasant surprise. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
It is a surprise. Pleasant, I'm not sure, but definitely a surprise. They're half right there.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway. And that's all I have to say about that.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Well, thank you again for listening to another episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with a friend. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere else where you can find podcasts available for download. We're probably on there. And also, you can find us on Facebook like everybody else. If you like this episode or have some comments about it, maybe you absolutely love this film, please put us in our place and leave a comment on that site. We'd love to hear from you and we'd love to respond. Have a happy Halloween, everybody. We were so stoked to bring you these horror films during this Halloween, and we're going to have some Thanksgiving horror films for you in Thanksgiving. We're going to have Christmas horror films for you in Christmas, Hanukkah horror films for Hanukkah, Easter, whatever we could find and dig up. It's got to be better than Santa's Little Helper.
Santa, you're already in the Christmas spirit. It's right. Satan's little helper, but that's okay.
It's Satan. Until next time, I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
With Two Guys with a Chainsaw.